So surprisingly, one characteristic of alphas is that they are lonely. You would think that that couldn't be possible with all of the interaction they're doing on the internet, on social media and on their phones. But that is a false sense of engaging. Their use of screen time has actually led them to become more artificial in how they relate to each other. And while it seems that they are connecting, in fact it's an artificial connection, they're losing the ability to actually have meaningful relationships with people face to face, eye to eye. And they've become very deficient in their relationship skills. So while they are incredibly connected with their devices, they're actually less socially engaged. And loneliness has become an epidemic in this century. So while in our classes we want to engage them with technology to a degree, trying to wow them with lights, camera, action isn't going to work. They've seen so much better elsewhere, and to try to compete with that is a waste of time. YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Netflix, they have already won them over, and Hollywood can get their attention for a short time, but I am telling you that if they have a caring adult who loves them and interacts with them in a meaningful way, that is going to have a much greater impact than any technology we can use in our classes. So one of the things that's extremely important with this generation is to prioritize meaningful relationships. You probably remember hearing the term Zoom fatigue during the pandemic. The only way we could interact with the kids at that point was over Zoom, and the schools were using it, the churches were using it, and the kids got to the point where they had just had enough. They missed interacting with their friends and their family in person. And because of that, I think families have adjusted in the way they relate at church. Their social life no longer revolves around the church, and they rush in and rush out on a Sunday because they're going to somewhere else, some other activity, and therefore they're not creating any real connections with people. And unfortunately, that just leads to them attending church but not participating, and finding their relationships with people elsewhere and fulfilling that need in a different way. So therefore they've become less consistent in their attendance, and they see it more as something that they go to watch, an entertainment, which is why church hopping has become so common, where they hop from church to church depending on what things those churches are doing, what speakers they have, what activities they have, whether they've got a big festival or not. Kids also get to the point in their lives where they begin to lose interest in church. They've seen it all before, and as they move into those preteen years, they go through a phase of cognitive pruning where they begin to cut things out from their minds that they feel are no longer useful. They decide, is this worth keeping or is it worth pruning and getting rid of? And the challenge for us is making sure that they don't prune God out of their lives. We will often see them on their devices and think they're just addicts. They can't do without their phones, but I would love to challenge you next time you have them in on a Sunday morning, get down on the floor and say, hey guys, want to come over and play a game? And see how much that lights up their lives, how excited they are to actually be able to sit down and play with an adult. Often they revert to those devices because they have no other option, because we're too busy doing whatever it is we're doing. So how about you try this one? Come early and leave late. You show up to your class 15 or 20 minutes early. How about you show up 30 minutes early? Do your prep for the first 15 minutes, and then those early kids start to arrive. Sit down and hang out with them, play a game. And instead of packing up quickly and leaving at the end, you usually have stragglers hang out with those kids and talk to them, ask them how their week was, ask them how school is going, what's going on with their family, what are their favorite hobbies, and actually begin to interact with them on a personal level. Be in touch with their families, find out what's going on and how you can pray for them during the week. Take the class out for ice cream and invite the whole class and have the parents bring them to the ice cream store and shout them, sorry that was Australian, pay for them to all have ice cream. and just spend time talking with them. Send a postcard to them when they're away, or when, if you find out that they're sick, definitely send them a card in the mail and let them know that you're thinking of them. If kids miss 2 Sundays in a row, send them a note. What we would do in our church was I had provided postcards that already had stamps on them and a name and address, and they were put inside the classrooms, and each Sunday I said to the teachers, would you please fill out one postcard to the child whose name is on the front of the card, pop it in the mail as you go, and then the next week find another one and write a note to that person. And that way, every 12 or 13 weeks, depending on the size of the classes, kids would always get a personal note from their Sunday school teacher, and that was in addition to if they were sick or if they were missing. So basically, remember that these kids may seem to be engaging with their friends online, but in effect they are lonely and they need meaningful relationships, and one way that we can impress them is by spending time with them, loving them, caring for them, praying for them, of course, but actually spending meaningful time with them. Alphas need us. They need our love and our attention.
Grace for Kids.